so I'm back to play the people as we did yesterday. If you're there in the chat, feel free to send me a challenge. I'm on the St. Louis Chess Club account, as you can see. One sec, having a little difficulty navigating the mouse. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to accept this person's challenge. Could be one of the viewers. If it is one of the viewers, please make yourself known in the chat so we know who we're playing. That'd be nice. And as you can see, my username is stlouischessclub.org. Oh, sorry, I don't think that's visible. Yeah, it's visible down here, though. St. Louis Chess Club right here. So challenge this account if you want to play me. And if you don't want to play, that's fine. You just want to hang out in the chat. Feel free to ask any questions or whatever it is you want to muse about. I'll be more than happy to interact with you there as well. Alright, so I'm going to play this guy first, Mr. Shelving Unit. Let's play d4. I don't know why I keep defaulting to d4, even though I feel more like an e4 player. I'm pretty universal with white, but I don't know, I've always considered myself an e4 player at heart. That's the opening move I started out with, and feels the most natural to me. But for some reason, once again, I've started with d4 here. So let's see what we get ourselves into. What's up, Deb? Good to see you. Alright, it doesn't look like Shelving Unit is here right now. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds or so. If he doesn't move, we'll abort and accept this new challenge. How's everyone's Thursday going? What have you guys been up to? Alright, I'm going to abort, and hopefully Mr. Shelving Unit comes back at some point and he can re-challenge me. In the meantime, let's play this guy. Pulling upon thy heads. Oh my god, again I played d4. I wanted to play e4. Don't castle, okay. That's a bit of spice to the game for sure. I'll try my best not to castle here. So let's go for the London. That's probably the best way to do this. I could get away with not castling for a little bit longer as opposed to main lines in the Queen's Gambit. Alright, he's playing a very good setup. c5 attacking the center early. Now let's see, does he decide to develop his bishop? He goes queen b6. That's actually the better move. For some reason, I completely forgot that we were in this line. I wanted to play knight bd2 here. That's the modern line. Queen b6 is good for black. So, okay, let's see what happens, though. Queen b3, and line goes c4. Yeah, queen c2, bishop f5. This line is just better for black, to be honest. I mean, he gets space on the queen side and quick development. White's a bit passive. And now that I've accepted the challenge of not castling, it's going to be really hard to navigate this position. Leaving my king stuck here in e1. I was hoping to get some sort of kingside attack to justify leaving the king in the center, but it's going to be tough here. Alright, let's go bishop e2. Maybe I can artificially castle, you know, h3 and get my king over here. That might not be so bad. Yeah. Is everything good here? Okay, cool.
Just forgot about that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so he castled. I'm going to go h3, like I said. It's also a useful move to make square for your bishop on h2. Step out of the way of knight h5. You like to preserve that bishop if you can. Okay, he goes knight d7. He wants to play for e5, clearly. I'm not that opposed to that. I could trade it off and maybe use the d4 square later. Right now, I have to figure out what I want to do with my king, because I'm not allowed to castle. So let's play g4. I was planning on playing it safe with something like this, but I think he's giving me a little bit of a chance here to maybe go after his bishop and stymie his kingside, sorry, not his kingside, his central expansion. So let's see, bishop e6, knight g5 is the plan. Maybe I can hide the king on g2 then. Without the light square bishops on the board, the king would be much safer on g2. Alright, he goes knight d8. I think I'll go king f1. There's no need to rush with taking that bishop. It's not going anywhere. What's up, Alan? Yeah, I wouldn't describe myself as a London bra, that's for sure. I just happened to play it because Mr. Deb said I'm not allowed to castle, and I figured the London is the best way to do it after I've played d4 already. But I mean, the London's fine, but I'm not like one of those London enthusiasts or something. It's like whatever. If I play it, it's usually out of sheer laziness. I want to avoid actually checking serious openings in the main line, so I just play the London and pray that maybe my opponent won't be prepared there. Okay, knight g5. I'm not sure what that does exactly. I mean, I'm guessing he still wants to go for this at some point. So the question is, do I play king g2 or should I get a little bit frisky and play h4? I kind of want to play h4. I mean, this knight's just asking to be kicked out. Yeah, let's go h4. Why not? I mean, it's not like it's weakening or anything. It grabs some space. Wow, he goes knight e4. That looks like a free pawn to me. And add the bishop pair. Looks like a very promising position. Let's drop the bishop back. We're planning to tuck the king away there. Okay, so we got to watch out for some tactics, obviously, along the c-file. There's a bit of a pin here, so I'm just going to sidestep. And the plan is still to get the king to g2. If he takes, I'll take with the c-pawn. I want to keep this pawn fixed on e4. It's a long-term weakness. We can just get queens off the board. It'll be pretty smooth sailing. Alright guys, let's not get weird in the chat. Let's keep the chat normal, please. This is a chess stream. Okay, so let's go h5. So my idea is to provoke g5. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the structure, and now it's going to be harder for him to actually play f5 to reinforce this pawn. I didn't have to do that, but it seems useful. Alright, let's get the king to safety now. Long term, I'm just eyeing this pawn. Because once this pawn drops, I mean, I'm already up a pawn, but once that pawn drops, then everything just collapses for him. Okay, he goes f5 anyways, but it's not as effective now. And this looks pretty strong, a little double attack. Okay, queen f6 protects the rook, but doesn't really threaten anything, so I think I can just get away with this. Unless there's a more clever way to do this. I mean, this is simple enough, but I'm just thinking, is there something fancier? Man, I could play rook c1 also, but let's just keep it simple. Let's just take the pawn. This is a pretty big threat. This is a pretty big threat. Okay, so I can play bishop e6. Exploiting the pin, attacking the knights. We're going to win even more material now. What's up, McChicken? Good to see you again. Back on the late night grind, I see. Must be pretty late in India. Alright, he resigns. I think that was a pretty smooth game. Let's just go through it real quick. Yeah, so g6, yeah, I don't think that's the way to play it in these setups. I think g6 makes a little bit more sense here, yeah. Maybe he mixed up the lines or just thought that the same idea would make sense there, but g6 is more effective here before the pawn is committed to c4. Because in this position, when the pawn has gone to c4, black's looking to expand on the queen side later with b5, b4, and it would be more effective to release the bishop via e6. Because later on what happens is black goes queen d8, b5, b4, and the bishop's just more useful here, right on this diagonal, where it's facing the queen side. When you play g6, I mean, the bishop's a bit blunted on this diagonal now. It's not really doing anything. I mean, it's not like it's bad for black or anything. It's just, I think it makes it easier for white. And this plan with e5, it's not that big of a deal. Like, even if I were to allow e5, for instance, let me get something like this. Black is threatening to jump in here, but even if I give up the bishop and just go knight f3, I have the d4 square. It's a very solid position. I mean, maybe black's slightly more comfortable because, you know, he has more space to bishops, but I don't think it's the best way to put pressure on the position. So I think just e6 is the way to play. And usually the game goes something like this, just very simple development from both sides, castle, castle, and then, yeah, black goes queen d8. Or even rook fc8 first. That might be more accurate. Yeah, let's get the rook into the game first. The queen doesn't crowd the rook. And then queen d8, b5, b4. And from my experience, it's just very easy to play for black. I mean, black's definitely better here. And the onus is on white now to figure out what they want to do exactly. Tough position to play. All right, let's play shelving unit now. He's back. Thanks for the game, Chris. Was watching Norway chess. I didn't even realize that was going on. I mean, I saw something in the broadcast yesterday when I clicked there on the stream yesterday. I vaguely saw something about Norway, but I didn't realize that was like a serious tournament. It feels like there are too many tournaments to keep track of these days. Yeah, I don't think I've seriously followed a tournament in a while. A top level tournament. Okay, so we've got a King's Indian. Hopefully it should be an interesting game. He's playing the... Is this the Averbakh? I don't remember the name exactly. I think it's the Averbakh though. Right? Bishop e2, bishop g5. Sounds familiar. Or is it the... No, I think it's the Averbakh. Yeah, so the point is to discourage e5. I think this is a mistake because of take, queen d8, rook d8, and now because the bishop's pinning the knight, knight d5 is nasty. And that's probably losing material for black. Okay, so what am I doing here? Do I play h6 to kick the bishop out? I could also opt for c5. I think I'll play h6. Let's see where he wants to go with the bishop. Okay, he goes back. Do I play e5 now? Could also play c5. Let's go c5. That looks more interesting. e5, d5. I mean, it just looks kind of miserable for black, to be honest. I don't see how I get counterplay there. Because e5, d5, white has some flexibility because they haven't castled yet. So if I go something like knight h7 or knight e8 to play f5, they could consider g4 to discourage f5. And then even if I play f5 after that, I'm not sure it's so good for me. I think those positions are usually good for white. So I'm going to play c5. That'll confuse him a bit, hopefully. I'm okay with him taking the pawn. It's typical sacrifice. It opens my bishop, and I get quick counterplay, I think, against his pieces. Usually black gets the pawn back. I could also have played queen a5 now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe that was more clever. Because then I'm also threatening this. So after he defends that, then I can take back. That might have been better, actually. Okay, now I have to prove compensation in this endgame, which is not as fun. Alright, knight c6. It should be close to equal, though. Yeah, Chris, just go e6 there and you're better. That line is pretty bad for white, to be honest. I mean, bad in the sense that it's just better for black. Alright, knight f3, logical. So what am I doing here now? I want to open up this bishop. So a couple ways to do this. I could play b6 with the idea if he goes here, I can start harassing him and open up the bishop as well. That's one option. Another way is to go bishop e6 and try to go after this pawn, right? Rook c8, pile up here. I could also go bishop g4. Maybe look to play something like this. Get rid of the knight. Bring the knight back here. Man, so many options. Again, how do you decide? What do you guys like in the chat? I'm going to ask the audience here. Oh, really? Okay, I'll take a look at the Norway games after this. Is this like a serious classical event? Because there are a lot of these hybrid events now, and these rapid and blitz stuff, so I never know which tournament is serious anymore. Knight d7? Knight d7, I don't want to block the bishop immediately. Should be 3. Or do I? Alright, I'm going to play bishop e6. Probably I chose the worst option out of all the 3 candidate moves. It's always tough to decide. I mean, usually you have to go with your intuition. That's the general guideline, but what if you don't have an intuition? There's some positions where it just feels like all moves should be good. How do you decide? Even as a grandmaster, I struggle with that sometimes. And I consider myself more of an intuitive player, so that's what makes it even harder. Like, I'm supposed to be an intuitive player and I still can't decide. Alright, that's a mistake, right? Because now we can take the central pawn, we get our pawn back, and we open the bishop. And they could take here, but we can just take, bishop takes, sidestep with rook e8, or we could even consider taking here. Alright, he takes there. I didn't expect that. Okay, so I think we should have a very good position now. So rook e8 is possible, but maybe he wants... No, he can't go knight c7. I can take knight takes e7, and I can hold on to the rooks. I could also just take the bishop and go king f8. That looks very promising. Rook e8, maybe he goes bishop a3. So let's actually take the bishop and go king f8. How bad can this be? This has to be good, right? Knight d5 back. Alright, let's take the pawn. Let's chop this off. Just get out of the way of these knight c7 ideas. Alright, my idea is to give check. Probably shouldn't have spent all my time debating over my options earlier. So now we only have 5 seconds to work with, but there is an increment, so we should be able to hang on the clock. Okay, let's give it check. And what now? Let's try b6. Probably not playing this very well, but I still like my position here. This pawn is still a bit weak, and his king is... I mean, his rooks are discoordinated, or rather uncoordinated, and the king is a bit disjointed still. He's going to have to spend some time to get it to a more stable square. Let's go back here. I think we can pick up the pawn. So now we have 2 attackers, and he can only defend it once. Alright, knight d5. I'm expecting something like this. To pin, and we'll just go rook c8. And I think we're holding on to everything here. Should be a winning position with correct play. Alright, let's go back, just get the knight to safety. Still not easy to prove a decisive edge here. Opposite card bishops makes things a little bit more complicated. And he is defending this very well. Just trying to get out of this pin here. Okay, there we go. Now I can relax a bit. Let's go for cheapos. Rook c2. I have a little threat here. Let's see if he sees it. Aha, we got him. Little fork down, pinning the f2 pawn, and now we pick up the rook. Alright, good game, shelving unit. Let's take a look at the analysis real quick. Yeah, so yeah, this is the Averbakh. Okay, I do remember that correctly. Alright, so apparently they go c5 immediately here mainly. Yeah, and white really never takes on c5. d5, and then they go h6. Okay, that's pretty similar to what I did. Yeah, d5 would just transpose. And is this an actual line, dc5? Yeah, they go queen a5. That's what I said after I moved. Maybe queen a5 was more clever. Because I get the pawn back by force here. White has to deal with this, and then we take here. But I'm not sure about this. The structure looks like it could be slightly better for white. Yeah, I mean, this Maroczy structure. Black has some play, obviously, over the dark squares, you know, long term. But if white just consolidates everything, black's usually just very passive. There are no easy breaks. White has more space. I'm not a fan of these positions. So let's see, dc5. How bad is this? It's not that bad. f4 the computer likes. That's a very hard move to find, especially in blitz. Yeah, it's not even been played before. Typical computer move. There's a hanging pawn, but nah, we'll just play f4. Yeah, what my opponent did makes a lot of sense. Just trying to grab onto the pawn and prove that black doesn't have enough compensation. Knight c6, knight f3, bishop e6. Yeah, so here I was deliberating between bishop g4, bishop e6, and b6. And all of those moves look okay. b6 was also fine. Yeah, the reason I didn't play b6 in the end, so my point was bishop e3, knight g4 to harass the bishop, but yeah, I thought he goes back to a3, and I wasn't sure how to follow up here. I mean, I still have good compensation, but I think driving the bishop to a3 helps him because it keeps this protected. It's better to have this pawn unprotected for now. And we proved that after knight d5, right? Knight takes e4. Now this pawn is hanging as well. The bishop's not already on a3. So yeah, after bishop e6, I think white has to play maybe something like rook c1 to try to get in b3. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, rook c1 is good. And now, let's say I follow up with something like rook c8 or knight d7. The bishop goes back to a3. Important to keep this b2 pawn protected. Maybe not the most obvious maneuver, right? Moving the bishop to the edge of the board, but concretely it makes a lot of sense to keep this protected. And then slowly white will begin to consolidate b3, maybe knight d5 in the future, and black still has to prove compensation here. Yeah, after knight d5 it's just losing, right? Because you gave up this important pawn and now everything's hanging. I challenged you, can you accept? I don't see your challenge, Mr. Mr. Danish, can you please send that again? And while we wait for you to challenge, let's check out the Norway games like you were saying. McChicken, if you're still around. Oh, there are a ton of events going on. Alright, I'm assuming it's this one. I see this one as well. That looks like the open event. Wow, there's Dubai Open as well. So many strong events going on right now and so many strong players. So let's see what's going on here. Alright, so I'm guessing this is classical. Yeah, it is classical. Wow, okay. Impressive win. Wow, rook b1. Okay, so we have a symmetrical English. Usually these games are very slow and methodical from both sides. Very symmetrical also as well. Like I said, it's literally called a symmetrical variation. So there's so many ways to play this. There's the most obvious is knight f3, right? Then black can go knight f6, black can go d6, e6. There are a lot of lines here, a lot of different setups. Alright, so rook b1, typical Magnus preparation, trying to get the opponent out of prep and into uncharted waters, where Magnus knows the position better than his opponent. Knight f6, a3. Oh, we got the challenge. Alright, I'm going to play Danish first, then we'll come back to the Norway games, because he's been waiting. Oh my god, why do I keep playing d4? I'm an e4 player and I keep playing d4. It's so weird. Maybe because it's just closer to my mouse cursor, I don't know. Yasser style, that's right, that's a very Yasser move, rook b1. Yasser would be giddy with that rook b1 move. Yeah, that's right, Danish. I did see your challenge. I know we're obviously playing now. Okay, so King's Indian. I'm going for a bit of a coward setup with g3, the fianchetto. Something safe and solid, avoiding the main lines after e4. Psychologically, it's usually annoying for black players, like King's Indian players, to play against this setup because they're looking for something super sharp and complicated where they can sack a lot of material. And it's hard to do that against these fianchetto lines, so when the position becomes a little more drier, they might struggle with the lack of dynamicism. So let's see. He's played knight d7 and c5, which is a bit strange. Usually you go e5. And if you want to play c5, you avoid knight d7. You leave the knight to go to c6. So he's mixing up some setups here. I think that should be just fine for me, though. I'm going to go b3. I don't mind if he takes here, obviously. I just have a very comfortable Marocco structure. And he's not really getting any counterplay in the center either with e5. So I like my position here. Just simple development. And we'll try to use the extra space to our advantage. Okay, king h8 is, again, a very weird move. Not sure what the plan is, but let's see. I'm just going to continue with my development. Okay, knight g8. Yep, queen d2. Maybe he's angling for f5, but I think that's not a big deal. Looks very weakening for black, actually. Okay, so he does go for f5. I mean, it's a Dutch structure now. But it's very bad Dutch, right? Like the bishop's blocked. White has good central control. You can't really follow up with f4. You can't really play e5. Should be a very good position for white. Alright, we'll just develop. See what he wants to do. Okay, queen b6. That's a welcome move. Because I have a few ideas here. Now I can play knight d5, hit the queen with tempo. And I can play knight a4. And both moves open up the bishop as well. I think knight d5 makes a lot of sense though. Right? We want to move our knight to the center of the board, where it exerts the most pressure. And maybe I can consider taking now, opening the diagonal. Things look very promising now. Black is still very underdeveloped, as you can see, right? The pieces are mostly on the back rank. So yeah, let's open things up. Maybe I didn't even have to do that. I could have tried something like knight g5 as well. Maybe that was stronger, but we've taken on c5, so let's see what happens now. Okay, bishop takes b2. That's obviously a big blunder, right? Because now we take back with check, and he has no time to take back the pawn now, so should have played knight c5. Okay, now we just step a pawn, and we're just completely opening things up. Should be a pretty routine win. Okay, e6. Let's just hop in here, right? A fork. And we're going to win even more material. Alright. Alright, thanks for the game. Yeah, let's just look at the analysis real quick. Not much to say here other than, yeah, c5. This setup with knight d7 and c5 is not very good for black. If you play knight d7, you should definitely go e5. So let's say castle, castle, e5. Now we're back in the main lines. Very typical King's Indian structure. If you want to play c5, then I suggest delaying the knight development and going c5 like this. And if castle, now at least you can get your knight to a more natural square, right? Knight c6, where it exerts pressure and the bishop's still open. And if white goes d5, that's usually met with knight a5, attacking the c4 pawn. And black usually has reasonable counterplay there. Because after that, you were just passive. Really hard to suggest a plan. And yeah, you went for king h8 f5, but again, that was too weakening with the way your pieces were arranged. Probably, yeah, you should go for a6 like some people tried. Maybe try to play for b5, but again, I can snuff that out pretty easily with a4. Oops, sorry. And again, the ball is back in black's court. How exactly do you get counterplay here? That's not an easy question to answer. So yeah, really just either play c5 and then knight c6, or if you go knight d7, play with e5. All right, let's get back to the Norway games and see what's going on. So a3, a5. Okay, so why is white playing rook b1 so quickly? He wants to play b4. I have seen this line before. Objectively, it's probably not that great for white, if I remember correctly. It's like no advantage technically, but it leads to, I guess, fresher positions. It's not as analyzed, and that's considered a win, basically, in opening preparation at the top level, if you can just get your opponent out of prep. Even if you don't have an objective advantage, the fact that you know the position better than your opponent is already quite promising. Even for top players, it's hard to navigate uncharted territory. So let's see, a3, a5. I don't know the specifics of these positions, like if you should play a5 or not. I usually hate playing moves like a5 with the pawn on c5 because, I don't know, to me it just weakens the light squares, especially that b5 square long term. But obviously it has a concrete objective of just stopping b4, right? And later on, if you can get in d5 for black, then this weakness won't really matter. It won't be a weakness anymore. It's only a weakness if white can maintain this pawn on c4. But it is the main line here. I don't know. I was thinking castle here. Like, I don't really care if white wants to go b4. b4, take, take. It feels like such a early queenside expansion shouldn't work out for white. I mean, with the king still in the center, black's done everything correctly. There should be some way to very cleanly equalize here, play for the initiative. So there are a few games here. Some people played a5. I like that. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, a5. Okay, so black's forcing white to make a decision here. Now, obviously, you don't want to play b5 as white, right? Give black an outpost on b4. And then d5 comes very quickly and this entire plan falls apart. So yeah, white takes an a5, black takes back. Okay, white has a nice structure now. This b pawn is still a bit weak. White has good control, but there should be some concrete way to equalize this position. Yeah, there's a quick d5 and position should be close to equal. But okay, black goes a5. Maybe this is more combative. It's avoiding simplifications like in the other line. So now white has to decide what they want to do. Okay, white goes d3, e6, knight f3, castle, bishop e3. Wow. So we're following this game of Ulf von Hermann. Some random game from 2010 between two master level players. Okay, so let's try to understand this. If white castles, black obviously wants to play d5, right? If black gets in d5 and there are no tricks for white, then black's, I think, opening play has been a success. He has more space in the center, he has better control of it. Should be a good position for black. So white plays bishop e3 to sort of slow down that idea. So if you go d6, well, okay, now you've committed your pawn to d6. Now d5 is not going to be on the agenda for a while. And if you go b6, I'm guessing that white wants to exploit this newly open diagonal now. So something like knight e5 could be very annoying, right? You can't take because of bishop a8. I mean, black does have some compensation here, maybe d5. Maybe this is still good for black, I don't know. But it leads to some sharp stuff. I mean, if you're not prepared, it's very hard to go for this as black. I mean, I'm guessing there's some ideas involving bishop g5 at some point. Maybe take or bishop g5. Something like this. Or rather this, bishop g5. That's not good though, bishop e6, yeah. And the bishop's kind of trapped. So apparently bishop f4 is how you refute this. That is clever. Because now, you don't really have a good square for the knight. If you move your knight, then I'm able to escape to c6. And if you reinforce the knight by moving this knight, you know, something like this or this, well then the d5 pawn is no longer protected, right? And you can escape with cd5. Deep stuff. So yeah, that's why b6 wasn't played. So okay, he played queen e7. So he's trying to defend the pawn like this, and then he's saying, I'm ready to play d5 now. Yes, you can. Ivor, just send me a challenge. My account is St. Louis Chess Club. Let me just pull it up so you can see how it's spelled. Yeah, right there. That's me. So send a challenge to this account, something like 3-0 or 5-0 or 3+2, whatever you want. And we can play. I'm just going through the Norway games while we wait for a challenge because someone had asked about those. So yeah, queen e7. Oh, knight a4. So again, insisting that I'm going to go after this pawn and not allow you to play d5. And now black kind of has to play d6, right? b6, the pawn is unprotected, so you have to play d6. And white has succeeded in stopping d5. Okay, interesting stuff. So castle. Rook b8, so black's looking to play b5. Now white goes d4, take. Okay, so we've kind of gotten a Roxy structure. White looks to be slightly better, right? More open lines for his pieces. Black goes b5. Good move, because if you give white an extra move, let's say you try to play something like bishop d7, I'm going to drop back now. I cover b5, it's not going to be as easy for you to play b5 now, or maybe I could even go knight b6 and just halt the pawn in its tracks here, and maybe I can expand on the queen side later or just develop normally. So black goes b5 to break, take, knight c3, b8, queen a4, hitting that pawn. Okay, I think I got your challenge, so let's play Ivor, and then we'll come back to the game over here. Alright, good luck. Okay, e4, let's play something interesting for once. Let's play the Sicilian. And I'll just play a Najdorf if he allows me to. Let's see what he has prepared against that. What does he have up his sleeve? Something sharp, something positional. Okay, he goes for a more positional approach. Let's go e5. Bishop e7, all very typical stuff, so play is going to revolve around this d5 square. Okay, bishop e3, this is a very tricky mortar. I used to play this myself as a kid, and the point is castle is a mistake, very big mistake, because of g4 already. There's a well-known game between Carlsen and Nakamura there from Vaikanze 2010. After g4, black's almost busted. So you don't want to rush with castling here. You want to wait for white to castle first. So when white plays bishop e3, bishop e2, you go bishop e6. Just mirror him, and that's the cleanest way to play it. Yeah, now castle, now we can castle. And this position is completely fine for black. Alright, king h1. This is a very old line. I think he wants to play f4. People don't really play like this anymore because it's kind of harmless. I do not remember the theory here though. Am I supposed to go here or knight c6? I think knight c6 makes more sense. And then f4, right? This feels like some old theory. Yeah, I take, bishop takes. And I think I go d5. And that equalizes pretty cleanly for black. This feels very vaguely familiar. e5, knight e4. I don't know, something that I used to see a lot as a kid in 2010. People used to play like this. Bishop e2 was quite popular at that time. Alright, not seeing much activity in the chat. Come on, guys. Help me out. Ask me some questions. Tell me your thoughts on anything. I would like to know. Alright, e5, knight d5. Talk to me about chess, sports, whatever you want. Yeah, knight d5, bishop d5, or queen d5. I mean, black's equalized pretty cleanly here. Can we actually win? That's another question. Equalizing as black doesn't always mean that you get to win the game, even against lower-rated players, because things are simplifying quite quickly. I think I'll just take with the bishop to keep some life in the position, if we can. Bishop f3, though, is very solid. I mean, objectively, I think queen takes d5. Nah, maybe that's not better. I feel like that's the main line, though. There can't be anything wrong with bishop takes either. I think the main way to put pressure these days is just to play some quick knight d5, like queen d3, knight d5. That got really popular around 2014, 2015, and I think that's still the main try for white. Yeah, bishop f3, very solid move. Take. I'm not really seeing how I'm going to win this position. White is too solid here. So we're going to have to try and imbalance the position somehow. I don't really see what I can do though. It's going to take some cooperation from the opponent as well. We're going to need him to blunder. So how can we create some practical issues here? I would like to get my queen out of the way with this d-file. He's coming with the rook. Something like this. Okay, let's start with queen c8. Pretty non-committal move. Just get our queen out of the way of the d-file. Okay, you go c3. And what now? I don't really want to play bishop f6 because it gives up the c5 square. But I might have to because there's pressure on this. I can't really move my rook without having to worry about some bishop discovery, and then f7's hanging. So let's see. Even though this position feels equal, I still have to prove it. Some practical issues still. Yeah, maybe it's not as equal as I thought. That's a bummer. Yeah, I kind of have to play bishop f6 if I want to free up my rook. And maybe white's just slightly better here then. I don't see a clean way to equalize this. What's up, Active Moves? Good to see you. How's your day going? Oh, got a challenge from him as well. Perfect, I'll play right after. Alright, rook d1. Contest, maybe rook e8. Queen f5 is interesting also. Too many moves to choose from. Let's go rook e8. Alright, we're down to 6 seconds as usual. Should spice things up. Maybe we can use the rope-a-dope strategy. Okay, he plays rook e1. That wasted tempo though. I think that allows me to untangle a bit. I think I've equalized pretty cleanly now. Because my queen's active, my rook's coming in, and I've covered the c5 square. So, okay, I like my chances to press here potentially. Once we get the rook into the game. Okay, if white wants to trade queens, I'll oblige. That would at least spoil his structure. When I say practical issues, I mean, so you have a position that's equal, right? There are different kinds of equal positions as well. There's some equal positions where it's clear that it's just a dead draw, right? Like it's completely symmetrical, or it's locked up, or you can just trade everything very easily, and things become equal, right? But there are also equal positions like this game where objectively the position you know should be equal, right? We both have similar material, we both have reasonable control of the board, but you still have to come up with a plan or an idea. There's no way to easily simplify the position. You have to maintain the tension. And those positions are pretty tough to play, even at a grandmaster level. Most of the games are decided, oh, what am I doing? Let me come back. Safe moves. We don't want to blunder something. So most of the games, even in equal positions, are decided when there's no easy way to simplify for either side. Usually one side ends up cracking under the pressure because it's very hard to maintain the tension. And so even there you can make mistakes. You make some small inaccuracy, which the opponent's able to exploit. And those small mistakes add up over the course of a game, and that can be the difference between a draw or a loss at the grandmaster level. All right, this was a horribly played game. I was making mistakes left and right, even at the end here, but luckily we managed to cheese him with the fork. Let's just take a look real quick. So the difference between a tactical and a strategic position, right? So a tactical position, it's more dynamic, right? It's more complicated. You have to calculate a lot. You can't play as intuitively, right? The price of each move is higher. You have to play more concretely. You can't just rely on intuition, right? Because in a sharp position, what's going on? You have to calculate every move, otherwise you could lose on the spot, right? If you just play a move without calculating, like let's say we have some sharp kings Indian, you could get checkmated, right? That would be an example of a tactical position. Whereas in a strategic position, something like this, the price of each move isn't as high. You can get away with some slight inaccuracies. I can play more intuitively, right? I don't have to calculate, like a move like queen c8, I don't have to calculate 10 moves in advance. It's just a very intuitive and logical move, right? He wants to play rook d1, I just move my queen here, and then we can see what he wants. I don't have to calculate as deeply. And we're playing more for little qualities rather than some deeper objective like checkmating the king. We're just playing for some slight edges here. So for instance, as white, they can say, hey, I'm just getting control of the d file. Okay, that's a success. And white's not going to win material or anything in the coming moves, but if they can slowly accumulate these advantages, get control over the open files, get control of these squares, then bit by bit that adds up over the course of time. So yeah, rook e1 was a mistake because there's no need to challenge the rook like this after you just moved it to d1. I think they should have just gone something like knight c5 and maybe try to come in here. And that could be annoying for me. Because now I've untangled, and yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing here. I made some mistakes, like rook d3 was unnecessary. He could have gone check and taken my pawn. I think I should just play something safer here. Maybe I can just jump in and start tickling with queen c2. Queen e8 was a missed chance. Yeah, that's why I went back, just to keep it safe. And yeah, I traded queens here, which maybe wasn't necessary again, but I was just trying not to blunder anything. And yeah, here, knight e4 should be a pretty clean way to equalize. Or is it? I don't know. Maybe it's still not that easy. Actually, maybe not. Maybe I'm just holding on to the pawn here. I was thinking something like this, but rook a5 is there. I also have this a pawn that could start running. So yeah, maybe already here there's some practical issues for white. So maybe don't play knight c5. It's tempting, but rook d2, I think my counterplay is quicker. So just maybe get the rook to the open file and try to get your king involved, right? If you take away my only source of counterplay, the 7th rank, then you really have nothing to worry about. So just get the king to e2, and I don't have any squares, right? The knight's keeping it out. And it should be pretty close to equal. Yep, thanks for the game as well, Ivor. Alright, let's play active moves. Ortho Schnapp Gambit is tactical. I don't even know what that is. What's the notation for that active moves? I've never heard of that. Okay. Let's play another Nightorf. Let's see what active moves has cooked up here. Alright, Bishop C4. The Fischer-Sozin attack, I think it's called. Yeah, this was one of Fischer's favorite ways of playing against the Nightorf. I played it recently also in my last tournament, or one of my last tournaments. There are some new ideas here, so E6 is for sure the move. We want to blunt the bishop. Bishop B3, is that what I played? I don't even remember what setup I played. I played some aggressive setup, maybe it was Bishop B3. I don't know, somehow I played Bishop E3 very quickly and was going for some queenside castle. I don't even remember how I did that. I have a big problem remembering my own games. Like, I can remember fragments, and I can tell you, like, the general script of the game, but if you ask me to recreate it move by move, it's like, good luck with that. Alright, Bishop E3, what setup do I go for? This is the more aggressive setup. But there, White goes for something called the Velimirovich attack, which is very, very scary. Bishop E3, F3, Queen D2, long castle. Let's play B5, classical main line. Queen F3 is the move, I think. God, it's been a while since I've seen this. Or is it castle? I don't know. Maybe it's castle and then Queen F3. He goes F3. Maybe that's also a move. But I don't think they really play that against B5. Maybe they do, though. I don't really know this position that well. Should I just go back here and transpose to Velimirovich attack? Yeah, let's do that. So in general, what you have to watch out for is when you play knight d7, you have to watch out for these sacks on e6. That's what White's hoping to cheese you with. And it usually doesn't work, though, with the bishop still in f8. Why? Because the bishop's protecting g7. So when the knight gets to e6, White wins 2 pawns. Sort of uproots Black's king, but as long as you can hold on to this g7 pawn, White doesn't have enough compensation, right? They only get 2 pawns for the piece. And usually you want to be careful about that when you move your bishop to b7. That's usually when it strikes this bishop e6 move. So with bishop e3, I have to be careful about something like this or this. I think I'm going to play knight c5 first to reinforce that. Oh, this game has no increment also, so I can't yak too much. I got to speed it up. Okay, Queen d2, let's go Queen c7. I do want to get some counterplay on the queen side going soon. Should be a fine position for Black. Could also maybe go bishop d7 first and then b4, just to take away the a4 square. Alright, so let's see what he goes for. He could just bail out and go short castle as well. Alright, that's what he does. And I'm happy to see that. At least I don't have to calculate that much. I can play it more strategically. I can just castle and just start developing. Alright, bishop g5. Not sure what's that about. Seems like a waste of tempo. Alright, that's a blunder. We'll take that free central pawn. And we're going to pick up that bishop as well. Very important dark square bishop. So we'll be up a pawn. And we'll have the bishop pair. As long as you don't flag, should be a promising position here. Should have good chances to win. Alright, so I'm going to attack this. And maybe hint at e5, although not quite. Alright. I think I can take this. Alright, and we skewered him as well. Little domino effect there. We won a bunch of material in the span of, what, 4 or 5 moves. Things snowballed for White there a little bit. Alright, thanks for the game, active moves. Let's just analyze real quick. Let's check out the database here. So yeah, b5, Yeah, f3 is not the move here. So if black goes b5, yeah, I think you want to look into castle. And then we go bishop b7, yeah. So like I was saying, bishop b7, that's often met with bishop b6. You want to watch out for that. So like bishop b7 might be premature, rook e1, because now not so easy to develop because of this. And then white uproots black's king, and probably it's just bad for black. That's why black goes bishop b7 usually. White goes queen f3, and there's some old Kasparov games here. Yeah, this is a very famous game between Morozevich and Kasparov. That's what I studied as a kid. I don't know what the engine thinks about the game now. Probably a bunch of mistakes from both sides, but regardless of that, it's very instructive. I'll just flip through it really quickly. You guys can check it out. This is the old main line and the old theory. I think black sacked in exchange here. Yeah. So looks like a scary position for black, but this bishop on e5 is a monster, and as long as you don't get mated, positionally black's just dominating, and yeah, black ended up winning this game. You guys can check that out later. Morozevich Kasparov, that's the game. Queen c7. Okay, yeah, b5 f3. I think mixing these setups is not the way to go. All right, queen c7. Yeah, because if you go long castle, I'm not so sure. Like, I think black gets good counterplay here. I could go bishop d7. What about that? Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, bishop d7. It does like that. Okay. So why am I playing bishop d7? I just want to take away this option, knight a4. Because if you can't go knight a4, then I'm able to start advancing with a5, a4, right? And then the bishop runs into trouble. So if you have to castle, that's a bit of a cop-out now, and I don't really have anything to worry about, right? You set up your structure to castle long, and then if you go short castle, black's happy to see that. And yeah, this was obviously just a tactical blunder. I think just it's better to play it, simply here. Just go rook d1. Maybe rook e1. Try to prepare f4 long term. It was a bit rushed with bishop g5 and f4. Alright, let's see if we have another challenge. We have Ivor. Yeah, I know active. It does look scary. I mean, I don't think it's like long castle is great or anything, but if you set up your pieces like that, probably it's just better to go long castle and bite the bullet. Try to get some kind of attack going. Short castle, it's basically you're playing it positionally, but with the tactical setup, and that doesn't mesh very well. Alright, if Ivor is still around, I'm going to play him. Alright, let's go e4. No more d4. Okay, he goes for the French. And let's go knight c3. The main line, knight f6, e5. Yep, knight d7. The French is very popular these days. People are finding new ideas here to try and equalize for black. Oh my god, he goes queen b6. This is why I hate playing knight c3. There's too much theory here. And this is one of the sharpest lines, I think. Or maybe it's not. No. I think I'm wrong. I think that's c takes d4 and queen b6. That's the sharp line. And it leads to some wild stuff. No, queen b6 is different. Queen b6 is manageable. I go knight a4. Yeah, c3. b6. Yeah, this is very familiar. I think I've had many blitz games here. With the grandmaster friend who plays the French exclusively. Oh god, I can't remember the theory here though. So black's just reinforcing the c5 pawn and asking us what we want to do with this knight on the edge of the board. And I have no idea. Do I just develop normally? I don't know actually. How bad can that be though? Let's see, bishop e2. Ah, bishop a6. That's clever. I don't like my position now all of a sudden. Maybe I had to play a3 and go for b4. I wasn't sure about c4. e4, e6, c4, d5, take. Oh, really? Queen b3. That's a bit of a funny name for a rather innocuous gambit. It sounded more aggressive. What do I play here? Oh god. Am I really gonna play some weird looking move like b3 that looks totally wrong? Do I really want to take? What went wrong here? Wait, b6. Bishop b2 already a mistake? Jeez. I'm having a hard time even coming up with a move here. Okay, let's take. Yeah, I'm definitely misplaying this, but let's play b3. This is not a good way of playing the position, that's for sure. But I'm just trying not to blunder anything, and we'll try to outplay him later. I don't want to blunder some trick with like b5 at some point, so I'm just gonna play b3. Maybe queen e2 next. Trade the queens and see if we can outplay him in the endgame. But objectively, black should be fine here. I'll have to check the line after this. With ideas of e4, bishop c4. Well, you know what? If I get another French in one of these games, I'm gonna try that out and see how it goes. Okay, f6. Let's take actually. Maybe we can use the e5 square long term. If he takes with this or this, then I can take here. Maybe he takes with a g pawn. Alright, let's reinforce the f4. So long term, I'm looking to exploit this, the e5 square. We can somehow consolidate our pieces in the right way. Could be a long-term weakness. Maybe c4 next. Alright, let's go c4. I don't have time to think about this. Let's just go for it. I think it should be fine though. He has to make a decision about what he wants to do with the central pawns. And from what I can tell, pretty happy with whatever dc4 or cd4. I think it leads to a good position for white. I think I'm able to force a bad structure for him. Okay, he's thinking a bit. Tough decision to make for black. Alright, he takes there, so the point was to take here. So we want to open up the rook first. And if he takes here, we're going to trade everything and then capture back. And there's going to be a weak pawn on c5 that we can harass. So yeah, this should be a very, very good endgame now for white. Right, big weakness. Ooh, e5, I missed that. That's a great move. Alright, I might not have anything anymore. Let's go g4. That is a great move. Good find. Alright, let's see if we can avoid getting flagged. I'm just gonna have to pre-move everything because this mouse is really bad. There's no time to really waste. Okay, got the dirty flag, although at least in the final position we were up some material. Let's check this line out now. Ah, it's bishop d2, that's the move. Yeah, a3 is also a move too apparently, but yeah, bishop d2 is the move, yeah, because you want to break the pin immediately. If they go bishop a6, then you have c4. That's the point. And then black's in trouble with their queen. So that's why they go c4 themselves. Yeah, that's the line. And then we go b4. Yeah, this is looking very familiar now. And they can either go back or they can sack. This leads to some really complicated positions. Okay, so that's good to remember. b6, we go bishop d2. I was confusing it with this line because here you go b4 and then bishop e2. That's why I played bishop e2. I thought we were in this line. I knew there was bishop e2 somewhere, but yeah, here you want to go bishop d2 first. Important nuance. Okay. And then yeah, later, obviously black is completely fine here. Let's just see what the computer thinks. Yeah, f6 is all fine. Yeah, c4 is good, but I missed this e5 idea. Yeah, e5 is good. Very good resource. Aha, okay, so if I had more time, maybe I would have realized that e5 was there, and I would have taken here first. That's clever, because now if you take, I'm not going to recapture and allow e5, I'm going to play rook takes c6. And this pawn is still very weak, and I'm getting activity. So rook c4 would have been strong. And then, yeah, obviously here it's just equal. Maybe white is marginally better now. But, yeah, it was a time scramble. I managed to flag him here. Yeah, overall, a pretty good game for black. I see. Yeah, it's... I don't know, like, objectively, let's see how bad this line is according to the engine. So, d5, you said this. And queen b3. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Queen a4, yeah, that doesn't help either. Apparently you said c6, right? Yeah, I mean, I would honestly avoid these types of gambits because it's not very difficult for black to navigate, right? Like, even if I don't accept your gambit and I just play something like knight f6, it's still better for black, right? You want to go for gambits that at least force the opponent to make a tough decision, right? Where at least if they reject the gambit, then you still have a playable position. Like here, even if they reject the gambit, you're kind of worse. So you want to go for more testing gambits. This doesn't really feel like a serious gambit. We have a clip of that. Yeah, it's been clipped forever now. Downfall of the ortho schnapp gambit. Yeah, gf6 instead of rook f6. I was thinking that too, because at least you cover the e5 square. Maybe I can still go for this rook c1 c4 idea. It's a tough decision though, because if I'm able to open up things, then you might regret it as well, right? These pawns will be weak long term. So, but I think it should be fine. I mean, rook f6 was also fine, but yeah, maybe gf6 was practically better because at least you cover this square. With queen a4, bishop d7, there's a nice trap. All right, what is it then? I'm guessing we go queen b3. I'm doing this correctly, right? It's queen b3 and queen a4 here. All right, so let me know what the trap is. Let's take a look. All right, while you type that out, I'm going to just quickly see how this game ended, which we're looking at earlier. Okay, white's up a pawn, black is compensation. What's new? It's like every chess game ever. Alright, now white's up a pawn, very technical position. Yeah, it's a very bad version for black also, because white's rook's behind the pawn, back rank's covered, and it's going to be passive. Still not easy to win though. Apparently, rook b6 is the decisive mistake. But alright, okay, it's already a very difficult position for black, because I'm guessing the best move is king h7, but allowing b6 also looks really bad. Nope, it's not even king h7, that's also losing. Yeah. Oh no, king h7 is fine actually. b6, yeah, I mean it should be losing, but apparently it allows black to resist a little longer. Rook b6, the rook is passive now, and white can exploit that tactically with the back rank issues. Ah, rook e8, so we just trade down to this queen endgame. And yeah, there's no actual perpetual. Wow, nicely calculated. Yeah, Magnus just has a very good feel for these endgames. How long did he spend on this? 5 minutes to go for this queen endgame? Yeah, I wouldn't have made that judgment so quickly. Because optically it just looks like black's getting all these checks, right? And your king's going for a little bit of a spin here. But I guess intuitively you can feel that as long as the queen's protecting this pawn, you're not going to lose any material. So eventually your king's just going to walk up. Yeah, once the king gets into the game, there are just too many tactics now, right? Like the queen can easily block or force some kind of trade once it blocks a check, and it's just going to help support the pawn. Yeah, pretty convincing technical win from white. All right, if we don't have any other challenges, I'll play Ivor again, but I'd like to get some new players in as well. Okay, so queen a4, bishop d7, queen b3, d takes. Bishop c4, queen e7. Oh, I think I see where this is heading. Yeah, bishop f7 check. That is a nice trick. And yeah, king e7, that's mate, right? So that would just win the queen. That's cool. Maybe you can sauce some people with this in blitz or something, but it's going to be hard to get a strong player to fall for this. Yeah, that's right. Lose the queen or get checkmated. Alright, we got a game from Mr. Musk's dude. Let's play him. Oh, 10 minutes. That's a bit too long. Hey, Musk, challenge me to a shorter game. Let's do a... At most 5-0 if you want to play a little bit longer. I don't think I have the patience for a 10-minute game. And while we wait for the re-challenge, let's just check out what else is going on in the world of professional chess. Oh, there we go. We already got the challenge. All right, we'll come back to that later. All right, let's go e4 again. Okay, Siciliano. I'm going to accept the challenge and go for the open Sicilian with trepidation, though, because I usually try to avoid this stuff because I never prepare anything serious against these lines. Okay, all right. Let's be macho and go bishop g5. It's a total bluff, though. I hate getting into these sharp lines where you have to remember 50,000 lines. And variations. Okay, knight d7 is a little more manageable, though. e6 really leads to some crazy stuff, especially in the poison pawn variations. I don't know how people play that and remember everything. Knight b7, at least I have a few options to keep it under control. So we have the aggressive bishop c4. This is also aggressive. We have queen e2, which is a little bit more solid, although it's still with venomous intentions. I want to count so long and eventually go f4. All right, let's continue in the macho spirit and play bishop c4. Does he know how to play against this? I like these positions for black, to be honest. Although this line's been kind of ruined. There are these new setups that have been discovered for white where they take on f6 very quickly, and it puts black under some pressure. Like maybe black equalizes, but it's not fun. So many lines that used to be playable 10 years ago that I'd play, they're just very shaky now, or borderline unplayable because of modern engines. h6, I'm just going to go back. I don't have a favorite player. I was asked this yesterday also. Like, there are players obviously I respect and admire. Well, maybe admire is a bit strong, but like I respect their chess and I appreciate how they play. But it's not like I have some idol or something. I did mention Michael Adams yesterday as a player who I had a lot of respect for. Queen c7. Okay, I think I'm officially out of theory here. I know queen b6 is the move, but without h6. So the question is now, do we just drop back, keep things simple? Or do we play queen e2 and long castle? Let's just keep it simple. Bishop b3. I'm not really worried about knight c5 because I'll just take, right, ruin the structure, so that's not a big deal. Okay, e6, very tempting. Is it actually good though? Probably doesn't work yet, right? Because the bishop's still on f8. We discussed that earlier in another game. The g7 pawn's protected. It's usually not as effective. Maybe I should have actually played queen e2. I don't know. I never know anything. Whatever I play, I end up regretting it like 2 minutes later. How am I supposed to play this now? Queen e2, or should I go f4? Maybe that's the thing. Nah, that doesn't look right though. f4, b5. I think he's meeting my counterplay very quickly with his own. I want to set up some kind of knight d5 jump. Yeah, let's go queen e2. Very Socratic active moves. I think I should take. That's a nice mindset to have. Keeps you grounded. Bishop takes f6. That seems logical, right? At least we spoil the structure and gives us some easier Kingside ideas now. With f4, I think I can just play f4 immediately, right? Might as well. And now we have more of a rouser structure, but I think it's a very favorable one for white. I have my bishop on this diagonal. I'm ready to play f5. Try to nibble away at that e6 pawn. Alright, he took on b3. I think I'll just take. We have a 2-knight, 2-bishop imbalance, but I have to think that it's a good one. It's a good version for white here. He's still very underdeveloped. It's like this Ivanchuk Kasparov game. I think it was very similar. Similar structure and similar 2 knights versus 2 bishops, and Ivanchuk completely wiped him. I think it came from another line though. I think it came from 3 bishop e5 check and an early d4. Okay, h5, very logical, very typical idea in these structures. So first of all, you take away the h5 square from white, but maybe also later the bishop could come out. Okay, so the question is, do we castle long or do we just castle short? I'm leaning towards short because my king is safe on the king side. And I can still go for these f5 ideas. I might have to watch out for this, but I could always break the pin. Could also just throw this in immediately. You know what? I'm just going to castle. Queen c5 will just break the pin. No harm, no foul. Yeah, that's red active moves. I don't really want to play queen f3 because it does attack the pawn, but it's a rather superficial threat. I mean, black just easily defends it, and then what are you doing after that? At least with f4, we have this clear plan of playing f5, right? I'm just going to make sure I don't blunder something here. Queen f2, yeah. If they ever play e5, that's just lights out because d5 is just going to be a permanent outpost for white's knights. It's equivalent to positional resignation there. Yeah, so queen f2. And if e5, I'll just move the knight and play on this d5 square. I have some tactical ideas as well. Okay, he's playing this very well. Bishop d7, he's not making any weaknesses. Let's go knight a4. Let's bother his queen and tempt him to take. Alright, he rightfully doesn't take, and I wanted to play c4. Just get a little Maroczy structure in the center, control all the breaks, and then drop back. Further accentuate the space advantage. Yeah, the king also doesn't really have any safe haven, right? This is too exposed, and this is probably going to get uprooted as well. Alright, he goes e5. Where should we drop back? Maybe here. Now our goal should just be securing the d5 square. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. It shouldn't matter though. Let's take with the rook maybe. Oh wow. Missed that as well. Oh shoot. I forgot this is no increments. Again, okay. We're in a bit of a pickle then. Alright, this is a very creative solution by him. He's completely fine now. Yeah, I messed this up big time. That's a bummer because we had a promising position. Oh, we got some challenges as well. Alright, let's see if we can get away with pre-moving this. My only hope is that he blunders some kind of mate. He's got to go queen d7. And we're going to win the queen, but we're not going to be in time. We only have 2 seconds. Come on. Can we get this? No, we got flagged. Maybe with the better mouse, I could have pulled it off. But yeah, we didn't deserve to win that anyways after blundering d5. That was so careless. Even in the back of my mind was thinking intuitively at some point I want to play king h1 first before I do anything. That was a very strong solution. Maybe even here, like, let's see. Yeah, king h1, right? Just simple prophylactics. Simple prophylaxis. We just get out of the way of this diagonal. Always useful move in this decision because of this exact reason, right? This d5 break. That was a fantastic solution by my opponent. Nicely done. So if I go king h1 first, then I don't have to worry about that, and then I can continue with c4. These little differences make these little subtleties make the difference between, you know, converting an advantage and messing it up. Yeah, that's right, active moves. We wanted to create the hole on d5. Yeah, active moves, like, I mean, the G file is open, but it's not really, like, again, we have to look at it concretely, right? Yes, the G file is open, but does he have an actual way of exploiting it? Like, even if he just moves the rook to G8, it's not a big deal, right? Once you move the king to H1, there's nothing. This pawn can be easily protected if we need to. And again, his king is just in much worse shape, right? He has nowhere to really go. Long cast isn't really feasible. And we're just eventually going to crash through somehow once we keep putting some more pressure on his central pawns. Thanks for I'm guessing that's not the real Kravnik. Alright, so let's play someone new. Let's play Special Deliver. Okay, d4. Getting a d4 game now. Let's go g6, some King's Indian type position. Okay, early f3, very interesting. This was super topical 10 years ago. Everyone was playing this as a way to avoid the Grunfeld. d5, take, e4. Some really sharp stuff there. But I'm just going to stick to a King's Indian setup and go for this same-ish. Alright, knight c3, castle, knight e2. Yeah, I don't know the exact theory here. There are a million setups. You can play e5, you can play c5, you can play a6. I think I'll play a6. Or is it c6? No, I'll play a6. I want to play some quick b5. That's what they're doing really these days. You could also play c6. I think Kasparov played that in his World Championship match with Karpov. You go c6 to play for b5. It's a bit slower. White goes a4, a5. Black tries to get the knight to b4 then. But I think modern theory says b5 equalizes pretty easily for black, although I don't remember how. It's some pawn sack, and somehow we get counterplay. In any case, he doesn't accept the gambit. He goes h4, which is also typical in these positions. Am I worried about h5 immediately? I don't think so. Yeah, so white's basically saying that, okay, even if you take this pawn on c4, you don't really gain anything from it. It's just clogging your own position. And white just wants to focus on the king side. Do I throw in h5 or not? Or should I just take? Or should I push b4? Again, so many options. I'm going to throw in h5. Why not? I'm lazy. I don't want to calculate stuff with h5. So I'm just going to play h5, restrict g4 as well, and ask him what he wants to do now. Always opt for the lazy option. You hate playing against this? It's funny because I never really thought of this as that challenging an option. I mean, it looks scary, obviously, but I'm pretty sure if you just remember your preparation correctly and check the right line, it's pretty toothless for black. The problem really arises where if you don't know the position that well, like me, if you haven't really studied this, you can get mated quickly or something. But I'm pretty sure this isn't that challenging anymore. No one really plays it. Oh god, he's really making me calculate this. I think we should just take. Knight g3. Oh my god, what is this? Let's go b4. don't think this should work for him. Do I get greedy and hold on to this? I feel like I should get counterplay in the center. ASAP. Maybe this. Give back the pawn and just go for some central. I don't know. What about this? Knight h5. That's also interesting. If he takes, I take back. Reinforce that. That doesn't feel right though. Okay, at least this is 3+2, so I have a little bit of luxury here with spending time. Maybe I shouldn't have played b4. Take. I want to get in c5 somehow. Just as I was saying the same issue isn't that big a deal, I'm now finding myself struggling with this structure. Alright, what the hell, let's just play e6. It's probably not good, but again, I'm trying to get into a position that's easier to play, even if it's not objectively good. Just want something simple, that's usually what I try to do in Blitz. Or have, you know, a very obvious intuitive plan. So here my point is, takes the knight, I take, and then I'm going to play something in the center with c5. It doesn't feel right, but at least it's a little easier to play. Definitely have to check the line after this, though. Maybe he doesn't take on f6. Let's see. Maybe he tries something aggressive. Alright, he does take on f6. And I'm expecting fg4, and then I'll play c5, or maybe I could play knight c6 too. Yeah, but then g5. Now I would have to go back. Now let's go c5. I don't think I have anything better than that. Whoa, bishop g2. Or I'll take. Actually, wait, should I have taken? Maybe I shouldn't have taken and played c5 immediately. Because this bishop was kind of close before that. Alright, so we gotta get counterplay here. Oh my god, I think I blundered. I'm playing this so badly. I'm playing like a little kid, you know? If you just throw some pawns and pieces in their direction, they panic and blunder. That's exactly what I just did. Alright. Yep, nice. Okay, he takes my queen. I'm actually kind of happy to see that. So at least I have some symbolic compensation on the dark squares. Actually, I don't. Never mind. Yep, he has e5. I just realized that. Yeah, I'm just going to resign. That was a terrible game. Nicely played by Special Deliver. Let's just see what we could have done better. Yeah, this is a lion. I did remember that correctly. Yeah, I don't think g4 should be good, though. So take. Let's just check it out here. Yeah, this should not be good. Yeah, b4 was a mistake. I kind of realized that when he played knight d5. I underestimated this because I thought trading pieces can only benefit me here, considering I'm up a pawn, but taking the knight actually doesn't really help me. It just makes it harder for me to counterattack in the center, and now he has h5 coming. So yeah, I should have just gone with c5 immediately. I had the right idea in mind, just bad execution. Immediately counterattack in the center. And now if he goes d5, I can consider b4, because now the bishop's open, he doesn't have the d5 square. It's a much better version. Yeah, here it wasn't that great for me anymore. Yeah, bishop d2 is actually a good move. I was saying I should have played c5, but yeah, e5 anyways. And then their tactics along here, nice. Now it's a tough position. Yeah, I completely missed h6. Otherwise, this would be okay for black. I realized it after I moved. The king's just sandwiched and tripping over its own pieces. Yeah. Yeah, if he doesn't have e5, I was hoping, like, maybe I can open up this diagonal, like something like this. If he allows me to consolidate, I can maybe get my pieces into the game. But yeah, that's just a pipe dream. He just always has e5 here. Nicely done. Let's play Mr. Uruguayo. Good thing these games are casual, or I'd be tanking the clubs. The club accounts rating. Alright, knight f3. Yikes, that was a slip. Thank you. Definitely don't want to play d3 there. Ooh, the dragon. Really forcing me to go for something super theoretical and aggressive. Even here, there's so much theory. Like this simple line, which I learned as a kid, you know, relatively simple for a dragon. Much easier to play than the Yugoslav attack. They found some ideas here as well that make it hard to prove an advantage. Yeah, I think the setup I'm playing is not even that big a deal anymore. I don't remember what the line is here. Maybe it's knight c6 and bishop h6 that's more testing, or maybe it's king b1 here, something like that. But even there, the dragon is pretty playable. Alright, I'll just play what I learned as a kid. h4, h6, g4. So why does black play h6? Because white wants to play h5, right, to open things up. With h6, now they're ready to lock the position. h5, g5. And if white goes g5, like I'm going to play now, they're going to go h5. Okay, so what's the point of this for white? Why are we voluntarily locking up the king side? We can't really open it anyways. Black's going to keep it closed. So with g5, at least we fix the f pawn. There's going to be no f5. The structure is pretty decent. We could maybe bring the bishop out here later to create the light script bishops. And it's more of a positional game now. We just want to bring our pieces to good squares and long term try to use these weak pawns to our advantage. So I think it's bishop c4. Or is it? I don't know. Again, I haven't seen this in years. Something about this feels familiar though. Queen f2, the general setup. We go queen f2, right? Keeping an eye on this pawn. Knight f4. Yeah, so I think they use this rook. I think rook e8 is the line. They don't use the a rook. Then they go knight f4. I guess I take. And I don't think I want to take this pawn because of rook a8. Or maybe that's why they use the other rook. Because here I can play bishop b6. No, but that feels shaky. Queen b7, knight d6. Can I get away with taking this pawn? It seems ridiculous. Seems like it's asking for trouble. Ah, what the hell? I'm going to take. If it's bad, at least it gives my opponent a chance to punish me for my insolence. Okay. At least we didn't blunder anything yet. So now how do we want to deal with the threat to this a pawn? Just king b1? Or do I go a3? Ugh, king b1 with b8. c5. Let's go a3. Let's not voluntarily move to the b file. Okay, now I'm going to go bishop c5. Yeah, I don't know. He has good counterplay here. God, I'm so rusty. Jeez, it's ridiculous. I haven't played or looked at chess since December of last year. It's really showing. Ugh. I'm not sure this is exactly how you're supposed to set up your pawns when your king's on the queen side, but don't really have a choice, I think. Also, I'm pretty low on the clock. Let's pre-move this. Oh, at least try to pre-move it. I'm going to try to offer a repetition here because I have no time. Okay, let's go here. He can just flag me if he trains the queens, even though objectively it's bad. I'm not even going to try to play for a win. Should really check the time control before I accept. I just assume everything's 3 + 2, and then when I have 5 seconds, I'm like, shoot, this is actually 3 + 0. Alright, so queen c2, I'm just trying to repeat like I said. only have 5 seconds, so a draw would be pretty good. Ah, he's not taking the draw. Alright. Let's see if we can make him pay. Oh, that's a good move. That's a very good move. Covering G6. Alright, yeah, he gets the flag. Alright, let's just take a look real quick. What's the theory? Yeah, this was all correct. And yeah, Rookie D8's the move. Rookie D8's also fine. Yeah, taking on A7 is probably ridiculous. I should just play Bishop D6. Ah, it's actually fine. Yeah, A3 is good too. Wow, I played this better than I thought. Bishop C5 was playable as well. Aha, Rook D3 is the move. That's way too hard for a blitz game. That would be hard for a classical game. Okay, C3 is the mistake. Wow, but B3 is not very intuitive to weaken the A3 pawn, right? Because Knight C5, Bishop F8. Ah, there's some tactical ideas with this. Okay, that's way too hard. C3 is very human. I actually played this pretty reasonably. Yeah, like this position is not even that bad for me. I'm actually better here. Just the time situation forced me to try and repeat, and then obviously I got flagged. That wasn't too bad. What's up, Pablo? Did we just play? You sound like you're from Uruguay with that name and the username. Okay, who's next? While we wait for the challenges, let's take a real quick peek at the broadcast. Any familiar names here? Yeah, I know some of these people. Oh, strong tournament. And what's about the Cambridge tournament? Most distinguished Cambridge. We have Michael Adams in the house. Wow, what is this event? It's such a random list of names. You have Adams, and then you have Tivyakov, and you have some Indian players as well. And you have Pepe. Just a normal open tournament or what? What about the American Continental? This is always a fun tournament to follow. We have people vying for 4 World Cup spots. I was lamenting not knowing about this event yesterday. I was thinking about checking when it's going to happen this summer, and then I opened League Chess broadcast, and it's already like round 8. But it's a fun tournament to play. Usually in some exotic destination in South America. And if you do well, you qualify for the World Cup, get into that candidate cycle. Send to challenge. All right, so let's take a look. All right, M. Kelly, 2283. That's a strong player. All right, I really got to step it up. I'm getting owned over here. Really, it's just the clock. I gotta move faster. Maybe yak a little less. He's going for this. What is this junk? It's the Versov or something? Bishop F4. Or no, it's, I don't know. It's called something else. Or did they call it the Jobava? I can never remember. Is it? Which one's the Versov? I don't really have a lot of respect for this line though, so I better not lose. That would be embarrassing. Okay, C5. It is pretty popular these days though, especially in Blitz. But I don't know, objectively I just think it's good for black. Yeah, London Jobava, it's a bit of a hybrid, right? Oh my god, not this E4 line. I hate this line. This is the only line that annoys me. I'm more happy to see the main line E3. E4 is so annoying. So I can't be bothered to check it, and I always have to decide which pawn do I take, and some of it always backfires. I could be lazy and just play E6 and be like, I'm not going to calculate this. what do you want to play there? But objectively, that can't be the right move. All right, let's just take d4 and figure it out. Yeah, they go bishop e5. I've had so many games in bullet here. Please don't play e5. Dang it, he played e5. Yeah, so where do I move my knight now? Do I go here? Can I actually get away with that? Here, I'm guessing they want to play e6. That looks really annoying. I'm going to try knight e4. I'm not too sure about this either. I have to watch out for some moves like knight e2, right? To trap the knight. But I think I have e6 in time there. And my knight's able to escape, so... As long as I don't have to worry about that, this doesn't look so bad. Okay, I'm surprised by this, though. I didn't expect him to take. I'm happy with that endgame, I think. Or am I? I don't really know. Huh. So he's saying that he wants to trade queens and maybe go after that e4 pawn. I don't think that should be a big deal for me, but I don't want to trade queens either. Can we get away with queen a5? Let's play queen a5. Something more interesting. Objectively, it looks wrong. Maybe I can get away with it. I just want to play e6, bishop e7, castle, and try to do something there. I'm pretty sure trading queens was fine though. Take e6, bishop c5 next. Might have some tricks with e3 as well to open up the bishop. Okay, e6. Yeah, I agree, centrists. I mean, just blocking that c pawn just feels so wrong. It's the pawn on c2 is screaming to be placed on c4. It's just so much more harmonious with the knight on c3. It's just weird. It's just weird. All right, I'm happy with my position, I think, right? I got my bishop out with tempo. He's insisting on the queen trade. I might have to oblige here, though, because now I'm just winning a pawn. Right? Oh, this is so annoying. I still don't want to trade queens, though, even though it's winning a pawn. But I might have no choice. When life hands you a free pawn, you gotta take it. Oh, don't worry, centrist. We're all noobs here, as you can tell by some of my previous games. I'm pretty bad right now as well. But maybe things are looking up here. I might be able to put together a competent game for once. Yeah, bishop here and up a pawn, right? Life's good. What more could you want? All right, let's see what he comes up with. I'm expecting rook f1. Try and disturb my bishop. Right on cue. Okay, I have a few ways of doing this now. I could play e3. That's the move that has to be checked first, right? Because it opens up the bishop on c6, and if we get that in, then he's losing the exchange. So on the surface, this looks very promising. Can he actually protect g2? I don't see it. Like, there's only way to counter that could be bishop g3, but then we just take on g2 anyways, right? That looks like he wins an exchange. Yeah, why not? Let's go for it. I don't see how he protects bishop takes g2. That should be an exchange coming up. Okay. Alright, he does protect the g2 pawn, but it's not going to prevent bishop g2. So let's play that. He can't even take on f2, right? Because then this pawn would promote. So he's in a bit of a pickle here. Alright, he goes for knight b5. He's trying to get some fork here. Shouldn't be a big deal. Also, let's calculate this. Bishop f1, knight c7 check, king e7. As long as we're not getting mated, that looks good to me. Bishop g5 check, we have f6. Should be good. And without the rook on, without two rooks in the back rank, I just play e2 next, right? Also, I'm just realizing I had e2. How did I miss that? Jeez. I mean, this is also winning, but like, how do you miss e2? Just a simple fork. That's just immediately crushing. All right. Okay, he resigned. Yeah, we're just losing too much material, right? We're going to be up a rook in either position. All right, thank you for the game, M. Kelly. If I have to get through these challenges. If we have time after that, I'll play you again. Let's play Mr. Chess for fun random. I'm guessing that's you, Centrists. Yeah, exactly, cool, Centrist. I mean, that's how it is often, right? If one side has played a technically sound game, more often than not, the tactics are just going to work out for them. So when the opponent makes a mistake, none of the tactics are going to work out for them. They're going to work out for the opponent. Okay, that was a mouse slip. May I please have a take back? Thank you. I would love to play a Caro. All right, advanced, most sharp and testing continuation. Let's go bishop f5. Yeah, h4, another very sharp line here. So what's the idea of h4? White's taking space on the king side, but also you can't play e6 now because g4 would trap the bishop, right? The bishop runs out of squares. So h4, h5 is played to stop that. The downside is that it weakens the g5 square. Knight f3, is that the line? I played c4 myself. I think bishop d3 is the main line these days. I used to play c4. But here, I think I'm happy with my position, right? As long as I can develop smoothly. So how do I want to do this? Knight e7 or knight h6? This is also intriguing. Wasting a tempo just to get the bishop to this diagonal and then clear the way for the knight. Let's do that actually. Looks a bit weird, but I like it. Whoa, a3. That's mysterious. Alright, I'm going to continue with my plan. Getting the knight to f5. c4. I'm not sure this is going to work out so well for white now because now the d4 pawn is going to come under siege. And this justifies me moving my bishop to g4, right? I already have this pin. And now there's going to be trouble with this and this. So I think black has a good position. GG's Pablo. Alright, bishop e3. I think I can just take here, right? Some tactics. Bishop f3 and bishop queen h4. But I'm enjoying my position too much to go after these... go after this pawn on h4, even though it wins material. Although, I might have to do it now. I might not be able to resist it now, because it's just a clean pawn. Yeah, I kind of have to take. I was enjoying my position a lot, just playing it positionally. But, I think this has to be taken. Okay, bishop e2, we can just pick up this pawn, and we can take there as well. So we're up 2 pawns now. Let's just complete our development. And try to get the king to safety. King f2. Okay, so I'm guessing we can try to castle queenside at some point. Maybe knight b6 first. Something like that. Ooh, queen g1. That's tricky. I'm not sure it's an actual threat though, because I can always play bishop f8, but it is annoying. How about to be safe, we just go rook h6. Put the rook on a safe and solid square where it's protected. Now we don't have to worry about any tricks on g4, and we can continue with long castle. That's a good question, Crowder, and it's a problem that's going to persist throughout your chess career. It happens even to grandmasters. So often we make a move and realize it right after moving. It's a vexing phenomenon. All right, I'm going to jump into d5 and maybe clear the way for the queen. Why couldn't we get that intuition that our move was wrong before we move, you know? Why does it always have to be after we blunder? Okay, before He's trying to get some counterplay there. Makes sense. God, I'm so lazy. I don't want to calculate. I just want to win this game on autopilot. Maybe this. Activate the rook. Now we're threatening to take on f3, obviously. Let's drop back here and attack the knight. Why am I struggling to win this? Alright, let's just take and simplify. So without the light square bishops on the board, my light square bishop should dominate. Okay, that's a blunder. That makes things easier for us. Alright, I think I can win this position. Alright, he resigned. Thank you for the game. Quick analysis over here. Yeah, h5, h5. Either you go bishop d3, look into that, as you can see, or c4. I think mixing these ideas is not advisable. Because now I just have a very good square for my piece on f5 and too much pressure on your position on the d4 pawn. Alright, let's play MS chess. I think that's a new player. Yeah, it happens, cool centrists. Especially when you play sharp lines. It can be very easy to forget. Okay, he goes for the English. I'm going to stick to my King's Union stuff. Just to see if we can get a sharp position. Okay, he goes g3. Fianchetto, one of the more tame options, but can be annoying to play. He didn't play d4 though, so he's going for a pure English setup. Guessing knight c6. Yeah, so usually here white's trying to go for b4 on the queen set, right, with rook b1. And how does black play this? I think black goes rook e8, trying to play e4. Yeah, and I think black's usually happy to trade this off. Or are they? I don't really know. I feel like this is a thing though. Maybe the c4 pawn could be a bit loosey-goosey. Maybe not though. Actually, I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's play bishop f5. I want to provoke e4 just to have him shut down this bishop. And then we'll drop back. Yeah, it should be about equal. Maybe white's a bit better still. No dark square bishops favors me though, right? My bishop's better. If I can just maybe get better control over this, that would be nice. Maybe this entire plan with e4 isn't that great though. I don't know, I'll have to check it after. So many things to check in chess. What would you recommend for an 800 to climb elo? Let me think. I mean, most games at your level are going to be decided with some tactical blunders, right? So honestly, at an 800 level, just learn some basic openings, right? Just like know that you're going to play e4 as white and e5 as black, right? Some healthy classical opening where you can just develop your pieces very quickly, you know, get your knights out, get your bishops out, prioritize the development and the center, and just do tactics. Honestly, that's how most games will be decided at your level, so just emphasize that. Definitely don't go around buying any opening courses. That would be a big waste. Should we hop in? Or should we play queen f6 first? Huh. Let's play queen f6. Maybe I'm blundering something here, I don't know. I have to watch out for tricks like with e5 or f5, but I don't think it works. Don't play the h4 lines as white anymore. Do you mean in the Caro? Then yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really kept up with theory there, but I'm pretty sure h4 is still very topical. I mean, it's either h4, h5, bishop d3, or knight f3, bishop e2. Those have always been the main lines for a while now. They're considered the most testing variations against the Caro. Rook d8. I mean, I play the Caro myself too from time to time, and I don't think anyone's ever played h4 against me yet, but I think it is still quite popular. Maybe I've had one game in h4, I don't know. Alright, now I can jump in with a tempo at least. It's not a big deal or anything, but at least I can activate with tempo. Okay, what about this? Try to cheese him. Bishop g4, rook e1. Doesn't really do anything, right? Alright, let's just play c5 and cement the knight. Alright, they go b5. Huh. Something like this makes a lot of sense. Do I want to do it immediately? As usual, I don't know. Something like this is also interesting, like queen e6. It's a bit artificial, but I want to prevent him from playing h3. Yeah, let's go bishop g4 first. This is super weird, but kind of like it. Alright, so once he protects this, he wants to kick my bishop out with h3, and we're not going to let him do that. And we have a bit of a mini pin here on the e-pawn, so f5 can always be taken. But maybe this was a bit too clever. I don't think this actually does anything. Okay, he's panicking a bit with e5. Let's go bishop f5. I think just knight b3 was fine. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just playing for these. I'm either playing for some like cheap one move trick or some. One sec. Bishop e4. I think we just take. Yeah, or some super deep plan that's not even working. Okay, he's losing the plot here a bit. Just gotta worry about that. But maybe I should have taken with the queen. Actually, trading queens might have been better because this is still an issue for him. Here, he might have this. Oh god, that's annoying. Because of the pin. Maybe I can play queen d6 there though. This feels wrong as well, right? I can get away with this. And again, the knight's always going to be hanging. Yeah, we're definitely in good shape. Oh, come on. HG, knight, g3, there's no actual fork or something that wins there. It's fine. We should be able to set up a mating net there. I think I'll just go h5. So if I get my pawn to h3, I get rook g2 check, right? We just have to make sure we don't blunder any silly forks. The king could also enter as an attacking piece now. Should I just do that instead, or should I go h4? Yeah, let's go h4. It's a bit quicker, I think. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, I don't think that actually prevents this though, right? Yeah, I mean, they can go there, but this should be a pretty trivial win. Check. Yeah, I probably misplayed this. I should have not even allowed this. There probably was a much cleaner way to go for all this. Okay, if they want to trade rooks, I'll be happy. I have the outside pass pawn, right? Should I go b6 first? Maybe I go b6 first. Yeah, that should be pretty easy now. Yep, we just take. These pawns are way too far apart for him to catch both. And our king gets back in time. Yep, c4. Yep. There she goes. Okay, thank you for the game, sir. I wish I could play more, but I was supposed to end, I think, 5 minutes ago, so a little bit over time. And I do have a later engagement as part of my resident GM duties in about, I think, 2 hours, so I gotta get ready for that as well. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining the stream and the chat and for sending me challenges. It was a lot of fun. I hope to see you guys again later this week. I don't know if I'm streaming tomorrow. I don't think so, but I will be back on Friday for sure, doing some commentary on the Friday night quads in the evening. So make sure to tune in for that. It's always a lot of fun. We're just going to watch the games and commentate. And it's usually a blast. So make sure to tune in for that. Thanks again for coming out, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.